Hello everyone. Welcome to the Suicide Hotline. Today we have our very special guest, Eggy White. Yeah.
Yeah, Eggy, what? Yeah, I fucking give it up. I'll be the
Woo!
only one clapping. Yeah, you can clap for yourself.
As they always say, you got to get the ball rolling somewhere, so you might as well suck your own dick.
Can you do that, by the way?
I've never been able to. No, I think one time when I was like 18, I like bent over really far, and I was kind of like thinking about it, but yeah, it just didn't really work out. And then I'm like, I'm cool on that anyway.
So you're saying you were able to at one point, but you just chose not to? That takes respect.
I mean, it was possible. I think with some like regular exercise. I mean, regular because I was in good shape back then, but like regular like bending back and forth. Stretches and stuff. That's like how gymnastics they can like do all kinds of crazy like cartwheels and all that stuff because they do like a little bit at a time until they get it. But
Yeah,
I wasn't
do you know what
that
really helps with
invested.
that? You know what really helps with that? Taekwondo. In case you become invested at some point. I
Okay.
used to do it. It really helps with your flexibility. So, yeah, I actually could accomplish it at one point. So take
Well,
that
hey,
with what you will.
congratulations.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
How is it?
How is it? I'm not doing it at the moment, but yeah, I would recommend it. Give it a try. So, how's Sober 2021 going, Mr.
How was it?
Toby Reynolds?
I mean, hey, it was great for a month, a whole month of sobriety that I did. I mean, that's probably more than I've been sober in I don't even know how many years, several years at least. So, I mean, because how are you gonna go like a whole month? I mean, there'd have to be at least one weekend each month when I was working that you just get blitzed. So for me to like go a whole month, that was definitely the longest I've been in a while. Then I didn't really get back into it for a few months. I hurt myself a couple weeks ago. I got into an accident and I hurt myself, so I was kind of in pain and I was kind of been numbing the pain with drinking. And so I've been drinking a little more lately, but I'm sure it'll probably even out by the time summertime comes around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully
So in
it doesn't snowball
say it
again into alcoholism.
again.
Everything in moderation. I mean, as long as you're not drinking more than a couple cases a week, then at max, because I was drinking like a case a day for a minute, and that's no good. That's a little too much because you never stop. But
A case of what?
could be beer, seltzer. I mean, I just don't really. The hard liquor wasn't really. Because hard liquor would be, would drink like half a liter of hard liquor within like an hour, and then I just like pass out right away because I didn't have self control.
Yeah, not good.
So to keep it to like a seltzer or a beer that keeps something in my hand. It keeps like you can't just. It's like wearing a seatbelt. You can't just like run right into the wall. You gotta take some time. You might drink for 12 hours and still get really messed up, but still you got a little more of a buffer there.
Did you notice any health benefits when you were doing it? Like, would you do it again?
Oh yeah,
Sobriety.
because before I couldn't stream more than like 5 or 6 hours because I was drinking so much all the time that like my energy was always low, and then now we've been doing like we're having to cut the streams off at 12 hours because it's like people just want more, and I could actually like do it now. I couldn't do it before, but now I could do like a 12-hour stream, but YouTube doesn't let you do more than 12 hours now, so it's like now we have to we're fitting stuff in, like as the 12-hour mark of the stream is closing again. It's like, all right, we got to wrap it up. We're still doing everything all the way up to the end, because I got it like that right now. So
YouTube oppressing gamers as usual. Speaking of YouTube, how many YouTube accounts have you had throughout your time on the internet?
well, for all intents and purposes, I've only ever had one, of course, because you can't have more than one. But hypothetically and rhetorically, I've probably had 8 or 9, I think. Oh well, actually, I think 10. I think 10 because I had theoretically I got banned several times even before I was Eggman, because I used to there was poll videos like when I first started browsing poll back in like 2012. You wanted to go on YouTube and you wanted to, make the funny hand rub man cartoon video and stuff like that. And so I got a couple, YouTube accounts banned off that. I did some like video game hacking stuff that got an account taken down. Then I had one where I deleted a couple accounts. Then I had a couple more that got banned for other whatever, all theoretically, of course. But, now, of course, I've only ever had one account, which is the one I have right now.
I swear, when you were saying pole videos, I was just picturing like you on a stripping pole. I'm assuming that's not what you mean.
A poll is a
No.
thread on 4chan.
Yeah, basically like political videos back at that time. It was like you'd go on, and there was this is like 2012 or whatever, and there'd be some guy like vlogging in his bedroom. He'd be like, "Oh my gosh, did you hear what happened? This is out of control. I'm so angry right now. Aren't you all so angry?" And like a lot of these, it was a dime a dozen, but like there wasn't anything. It was just something still at that time in 2012. It was like it had some novelty to it. It was kind of like unique in a way. So it was like you saw these people do that, and you're like, oh yeah, I am really angry now. I want to make a YouTube video where I'm really angry too, And so that's like basically what I was doing, and I guess I just went a little too far. I might have made violent threats against people or whatever it was. It was like I had a
It
YouTube
is
channel,
what it
one
is.
subscriber. I didn't think anything of it at the time, and then all of a sudden, like some blog, like put my videos on there. They're like, "Oh my God, radical man on YouTube losing control," and all of a sudden I had like 10,000 views, and then my account mysteriously disappeared.
Oh, okay. So you actually have more than 12,000 subscribers if we're being theoretical and rhetorical.
That's true. Well, even as of right now, yeah, I think I like as of last time I checked, it was like 12,055 or something like that. So we're still rolling, yeah.
Oh, that's more than 12,000.
We'll make sure to tell
give you
our 2 viewers, I think, to make it 12,056.
No,
Very
if
much
it's two, it's gonna be
appreciated.
57.
57.
And I already subscribed to you, so I'm one of those. I'm one of those 12,055. Okay, so basically, I'm new to this end of the internet, and like pol and fucking incel, like there are too many abbreviations, right? Like
Uh-huh.
I don't get it. So what the hell is an incel?
What does it mean to be an insult to you?
Just of course I know, but like for the viewers, like for the two viewers.
Well, the thing of it is, I mean, it literally just means you are incapable of forming a intimate physical relationship. That's all it means. That's so this it really covers a ton of people, but it's been turned into this like derogatory term where it's basically like guy who I don't like is smelly and greasy and ugly and he's evil, and that's what it means now. But there's people from all over the world, every walk of life that fall into this just for particular circumstances that they can't always control. There's not always going to be somebody for everybody. So I mean, there's a bunch of people out there that fit the bill, but it's just been turned into this basically like crazy cartoonish. Whoever I hate right now, that's what he is, So that's how they're doing it right now. If you hear it in the news, basically it just means like guy I don't like, pretty much.
Oh, okay. So it's not actually just like another name for a virgin.
No, because I mean, you could be a virgin, voluntarily. Like you might not be trying to come across every dirty, disease, garbage person, or you might not be trying to, you're not trying to go out there and be a meat puppet or whatever. You could be just trying to do your own thing. But yeah, if you're incel, that means like you are really trying, but you still like it's just not possible for you to do it for whatever reason. If that's a physical disability or whatever it might be, like you're just incapable. There's no other way around it.
Damn, you're pretty much describing crazy to a T.
What? No, I get all the pussy. I'm a Chad.
No. If you don't know him, he has hella bitches on his dick.
Yeah.
So
I vouch.
So was the moon landing fake? Has your stance on this changed at all over the years?
My stance has remained absolute. I absolutely believe that it was not real. Because I mean,
I don't agree.
now here's the thing. Okay, now
But
they're telling me
elaborate your position.
they're saying that there was these great scientists and they made this incredible technology that we don't have anymore. And listen, okay, I'm sure they were incredibly gifted scientists, and I'm sure they made very many great things. But did we go and were we live streaming, the moon landing to the entire nation of America, and they're walking around and they're doing all this? I don't really buy that. You know what I mean? Like we could be out there. Maybe we were out there. Maybe they had the technology. That's where I could go and really like. I could agree to disagree up to like that extent that we had some very gifted scientists who did some very wonderful things that we can't replicate anymore. Because that's what they say. I believe that. But were we out there live streaming it, with a big TV camera walking around and they're planting the flag and all this different stuff? I just don't think that was really actually real. Because, how they say, oh, well, we were connected to a satellite and it was beaming it in. I don't know. Listen, I'm out here driving around with 480p live stream on my phone, and that shit doesn't work half the time. So you're telling me in 1969 we're out there with a big ass, 8 kilobyte memory camera live stream from the moon? I just don't know if I can believe that.
It's a big enough camera. It could actually be pretty high quality. Like, they had pretty high quality movies back then. Like, why not just bring a camera to space? Also, I'll give you this. If you watch the moon landing videos in 2020, they do kind of look fake. But of course, they're not, because, like, how could they be?
So you think people have went to the moon, it's just that the actual video that they recorded is fake?
I would say so, yeah, because you get it's a little deep, because some people say the moon isn't even real, and it's like a hologram and all this shit, because you could, like, when I was a kid, like, you get a telescope and, like, look at the moon and, like, see stuff on the moon, right, on certain days, and, like, if it was close enough or whatever. So, like, I'm not really so far deep to say that, like, space is a hologram and none of it's really real. Some people say that. I don't know if I would go that far. But, yeah, I just find some of the technical aspects of it to be a bit, that was my original concern when I was younger. I have given, like I said, a little bit of leeway in certain aspects as I've gotten older. There's certain things that I'm a little more willing to believe. So maybe one day I'll find myself, in a slightly different position, because I'm always willing to challenge my own beliefs. But yeah, I still at this point I just believe that it definitely is fishy at best.
All right. So I have a question.
Before we change the topic, is Elon Musk's robot on Mars real then?
He has a robot on Mars?
Yeah, like the rover shit.
I think that I haven't paid a lot of attention to it. I think that some of the photographs of it, but to me that's looking at it from, like I said, the technical perspective that I had approached before. I feel like we probably would be more technically capable of some of that audio video transmission nowadays than maybe we would have been 50, 60 years ago. So, and I'm willing to, and he's got the money for it. He's got other things going on. I feel like still he kind of his whole like SpaceX, I don't know, some people say they think that he's just kind of like doing shit for money and attention, that it doesn't really have like a real sustainable long-term goal. But then again, we're looking at consumer grade space travel versus him just having a robot that lands on a planet somewhere, so just like a rover landing on a planet, I would be willing to believe that is legitimate. But to be fair, I haven't really done a lot of looking into it. I looked into the moon landing more often when I was younger and things like that, so I had a little bit of a background with that, whereas this I really don't. So, but at face value, I would be willing to believe that sounds legitimate.
Yeah, honestly, I never really cared about the moon landing or the Mars landing, because there are just better things to look into, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
So believable that why would you just like look into it at all?
Well, you could say that about a lot.
That's what they want you to think, bro. Come on.
What do you mean? What benefit would they have in faking those things?
It's called, basically it's like let's say you're in a relationship, right? And like you're telling your girl, you're like, oh, I'm on my way home, but I'm gonna stop and get some Burger King. But you actually stop at McDonald's instead. Does that really make any difference? No, but that's giving you your first step of like what you can say. If you want to be a liar, you could you just give a lie that doesn't really mean anything. If it's, well, who cares? That could be that doesn't make any difference that it's a lie. But now you have successfully lied one time, so you have your foot in the door, so to speak. And so we're looking at the late 60s. That was when a lot of government, how would you say, overreach kind of very first started to take its formative presence. So I think that could have been something too. But now, when I used to study the moon landing, they said that they actually had lied, or if it was fake, it was, part to do with the Cold War. It was part to do with sort of, showing that America was stronger and better than everybody else, even if they had to fib or fabricate part of it to bring the story together. So that's kind of a little bit of different circumstance there in that regard. But still, my point stands, I think.
Was Nixon killed by the
FBI?
Nah,
that's some next level conspiracy theory shit. What did you say?
Was Nixon killed by the FBI?
Nixon died in 1995. I think he was like 80 years old, wasn't he?
Shit, wrong person.
Are you talking about JFK?
I'm a bit retarded, my bad. Was JFK killed by the
Yeah.
FBI?
How did you know that 1995 for Nixon? I guess you just memorized dates.
I failed out of school, but there was some times, I was well, actually, no bullshit, no bullshit. It's because I dropped out of school and I failed school, but I used to watch Futurama all the time, and like Nixon was in like Futurama, so I would like look up stuff about President or former President Nixon, just because like I'm wondering if any of like in the jokes in Futurama were like going over my head, so I would like look into like what he was saying to like get the references and stuff. So that's how I started looking at Nixon.
Yeah, I love Futurama.
Oh, okay, yeah, nothing to do with school. That's cool.
But I believe that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Well, I guess when we say FBI, because I've looked into this before in the past. I mean, I know that it was orchestrated due to the fact that he was trying to move away from the Federal Reserve. That's my belief. I believe that's what put it into play. But I also believe that Lee Harvey Oswald, he had been in collusion with communists, and so I think I forget if I had, because it's been several years at least since I've even looked into this at all, but it was either the FBI or the CIA, and definitely like played a part. Like his background was very politically charged in favor of communism and in favor of some of the things that were going on in the USSR. And he came back basically what's it, a stool pigeon? I don't know if that's the right word or not. Basically, like he was ready to act. He was ready to take an order, for the communists and do whatever they thought was the way to go. So I forget if it was the FBI or the CIA that was kind of. But anyway, the vague large message was that Kennedy was moving away from the Federal Reserve and their control of the currency, and he wanted to sort of the opposite of Nixon dropping the gold standard. He wanted to like reinforce, the American currency away from the Federal Reserve. So that's why they did what they did, in my personal opinion.
Oh shit! There's a part of that makes sense. Actually, there's a big part of that makes sense, but it's probably not even true. Because it's just, I don't know, it's just too hard to coordinate that.
According to your...
And also, they wouldn't kill their own president.
Well, that's what you had. Oswald had just, he was having been in staying in communist areas prior to it all going down. He kind of had absorbed the, that's like he had been, really radicalized and really ready to do whatever he thought would be. So maybe he wasn't even on the same page as the banks. He could have just been like, ready to act out of his own volition. But a lot of that, you see that still in today's, in recent times, where you have somebody who, they are totally whacked out of their gourd of their own volition, but they'll be groomed by members of the FBI and the CIA. You hear all the time that they go and pull up on these. They're mentally deficient, they're low functioning, but they'll pull up on them with a van full of assault rifles and bombs and all kinds of things and tell them, oh, go drive here, go do this, There's been multiple lawsuits that have been settled to these ends, but at the same time, you still have all these suspicious accidents and suspicious happenings that go on in the same vein that don't really get the same sort of exposure, the same sort of real deep dive, because I don't think they don't really allow that anymore. If you talk about that kind of stuff, they seem to shut you up. So it is what it is.
Yeah, all these, there's so many shootings in the U.S. that are really, really suspicious. But I don't want to get taken down on our 6th episode.
Right.
So
I've had enough visits. We don't need any more visits. We don't know anything. That was just something I read off of Google earlier, and my page turned into that. So I don't know any better. I don't know anything else.
So according to your Incel Wikipedia page, you've taken heroin in Canada. How was it?
It was a little wild. So basically, I was up there. I'd gone up for a convention, and I was having a pretty good time. I'd done the Black Pill video, then I deleted my YouTube channel, and then like the week after that, I went to Canada for this convention. So I didn't have a YouTube or anything at the time, and Canada was like going through a bit of like a little recession. I'm not sure if they still are. I'm sure, shit's. But anyways, at that time it was like my American dollar was worth like $1.50 in Canada or something like that. So basically, I was really balling out. Like I went up with like a certain amount of money, and all of a sudden I had like 50% more money. So I was balling out pretty good. And since I was having such a good time up there, I didn't really want to leave. So like the convention was over, and I had driven up, so I didn't have a flight to catch or anything. So I just like booked another week, a whole other week at my hotel, because I'm like, shit, I had this extra money to spend. So yeah, I'm gonna get a whole another week up at my hotel up here. And I was basically just still partying the whole time, and I didn't really want to go back to the United States because my life sucked and I hated it. So this was kind of like an escape for me. Yeah, it was like I had like 2 or 3 days left before I was gonna have to leave my hotel and start heading back home. Cause I still had a job. I just had taken a couple weeks off my job to go up. So a guy hit me up and he's like, "Oh, Eggy, I know about you, 4chan and stuff." And he's like, "Oh, I live like 30 minutes outside of Toronto. You should come pull up." I'm like, "Okay." So he gave me the address. I go pull up or whatever. I show up at this house, and it's just like some guy who was like a different guy. And he's like, "Oh yeah, bro's still at work, so you can just hang out here. We're just gonna hang out." And he was like a rapper, and so he's like showing me his raps and stuff. And then he's like, "Oh, you want some happy powder?" And I'm like, "Well, listen, man, my life kind of sucks right now, so yeah, I'll take some happy powder." So he like cuts up some lines, and he like does a couple lines or whatever. Then he cuts up a couple more lines. He's like, "All right, here you go, get happy." I'm like, "Don't mind if I do." So I snort that shit up, and it's like, I felt like I was standing like inside of a volcano. It was like hot as shit. Everything was like blurry. Everything was like all wavy. We like walked down to get I felt probably better, I guess, than I did, except until I got sick a little bit later on that night. But I felt I was feeling not good, so I guess to feel anything different was like was better, I guess.
Yeah. If I were standing in a volcano right now, I would feel better than how I'm feeling right now. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. It was just like, yeah, it was like really hot, and just like I was like not even like connected to reality. So we went down to the store to like get cigarettes, and like in Canada, cigarettes are weird. Like in America, we'll have like we have like shorts and hundreds and all this stuff like that. And they had like these like extra large packs that like it was like a book. It was like you would like fold it like in half and shit. It was just weird. It was folding it like horizontally, whatever. It was just weird stuff. So I got some cigarettes.
Those are the Canadian packs.
Yeah. And we're sitting there like in the store. There's like 10 people in line, and I'm so high, and I'm just sitting there, just like I feel like the whole world is like just going crazy. I'm sweating like crazy, I'm just there like get my cigarettes, and like we're all in line. Like the other dude's chill because he's like used to this shit. Like these guys did like 10 times as much as I did over the course of the day, but I was not used to it, so I'm sitting there just like whoo, holding it together. But anyways, yeah. Then we went, and dude got off work, and they're like, "Oh, let's go see a movie." I'm like, "Okay." So we went to go see a movie. It was that one M. Night Shyamalan with like the grandparents and the kids or whatever. I forget what that one was called. Oh, The Visit, I think is what it's called. I don't want to spoil it if you guys have never seen it. But anyways, we pick up this dude and this girl, and like the guy who had given me the dope initially, he like had a crush on this girl, but then like she had a crush on the guy that like we picked up before her. So then they were like low key like passive aggressive and shit for a minute. But anyways, we got to the movie theater. I ordered some nachos because it was like one of those movie theaters where you could get like hot food. So I went in and sat down, watched the movie. They're like leaving the movie theater every like 10 minutes to go to the bathroom and do a line, and I'm like, I wasn't even on that. But I like ate the nachos, and I was just chilling, watching the movie, still kind of tripped out. But then it gets to the twist part. It gets to the twist part where like the mom calls the mom calls the kids and tells them the secret. I don't want to spoil the movie if you haven't seen it, but like it's a crazy twist because it's M. Night Shyamalan, and like as soon as the twist happens, all of a sudden I just like fucking have to hurl like crazy, like all of a sudden out of nowhere. So I quickly fucking I backflip out of my fucking seat and like sprint through the theater and go. I go in there, I'm fucking hurling. Dudes are in there doing lines like on the sink and shit. They're not giving a fuck. Even like after the movie was all said and done, and like before I left for the night and everything like that, like we're in like McDonald's, like they're in the fucking McDonald's bathroom doing lines off the fucking toilet, back of the toilet, not the fucking toilet seat, because no, that's too far. No, but they're like cutting up lines on like the fucking toilet tank and shit. I don't know, they were crazy, but they were still alive last time I heard, so that's good for them. I'm glad that they didn't go too crazy about it. But Yeah, that was my experience doing lines in Canada, in Toronto.
Wow.
What an experience it was.
Would you do it again?
Do you remember if it was in a Cineplex?
I don't really. I could remember pulling. It was like a bigger theater, I think, because I remember we were like driving along the side of it, and then we like turned around like to the left, and it was like the big. I think it was AMC. I think it was. So it was like a big, like it was a pretty big place, as I recall. I also feel like it was like later at night, so like, there wasn't a whole lot of showings going on, so like it wasn't very busy at that time. But I can
I don't know
recall
if they
some
have
things,
AMC
but
in Canada though.
yeah, maybe it was. But I just remember like because we were kind of tripped out a little bit. I just remember driving because like he was like driving up alongside of it slow because he was like arguing with the one dude in the back. Because he was like trying to get on with the chick, and then they're arguing or whatever. So he's like driving along the side of it slow, and I thought they were gonna like fight before we got to the front of it. So like there's certain things I can remember, but it's been a few years now.
Yeah, I have something that could take up like a good chunk of this episode. We're like halfway in pretty much.
Like a
so
question?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, you mentioned the black pill video. Is that like something you still resonate with? Like that's not my question, but like it's a preface.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the thing of it is that I don't dwell on it as much. Some people think that if they don't like see me for a while, because I mean, this was about 6 years ago, almost now that I made that video. So like, people hit me up and they'll be like, they're expecting me to be like exactly the same as I was in that video. I'm like, man, time goes by, you kind of just find other shit to do in life. But at the same time, I mean, I don't disagree with any of what I said at all. I still totally find it to be a video that has held up. It's got hyperbole in it, but beside that, I feel like it was pretty on point.
Yeah, for sure. Then why don't we talk about it? So okay, here's the question. What is the primary problem in society that makes it hard for men with inferior genetics to have a good life?
Sounds like an essay question.
I know, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a good talking point.
I will say I'll give a couple points prior to kind of lead into this, because I do feel that in a lot of guys that get really caught into it, there is usually like a mental comorbidity.
I'm sorry?
I feel like a lot of guys that get really wrapped up into, like getting like deeply into, not just because there's a whole bunch of normies that don't even ever think about it. They just, they bounce around, you know what I mean? Like they bounce around like pinballs in a pinball game and they never think anything else of it. They have their whatever. They have something that they don't even think about ever, whatever, But the guys who kind of get more into it, kind of like do get more introspective about it, maybe sometimes to the point where it gets to be a little, could like take, their time up maybe a little too much. I feel like there usually is a mental comorbidity, like autism or something along those lines that plays into that. And also with that, I made a video in 2017 called, when I was doing vlogs, I made a vlog and it was called Making a Black Pillar. And basically I just turned my camera on and I went into like a stream of thought for like 40 minutes, kind of asking myself, how exactly I got to the particular point that I did in life. And the thing of it was, as I was thinking about it, really the formative experiences that had led me towards that path was just being rejected socially by my peers pretty much at every point. Like there wasn't really ever a point, even from like a little kid up until high school, whatever, I was always like an outcast. I was always seen as like whatever, like I was unwelcome. And that kind of had sort of given me like a resentment towards, who I considered to be like the other kind of people, like I was myself and everybody else was against me kind of thing, which then kind of, so it was like a negative feedback loop. And so I think that even outside of having a potential mental comorbidity like autism or any kind of personality disorder or whatever like that, I feel like it really does start from a young age because, if you're played sport. I mean, nowadays I know it's way different. They don't play sports in school anymore. Everything's really different now. So I can't really speak to. But I think that also is going to have its own particular set of problems that I can't quite maybe have a grasp of at this time. So kind of just speaking for my generation, even if you're kind of otherwise, you're not crazy, you're not, Down syndrome or whatever, you're not mentally messed up. Like you're going and you're bad at kickball or you're bad at dodgeball or whatever, then you don't get picked for the teams. So that could be a result of poor genetics. You might get winded. You might be running the mile. So you have some of these physical things from the physical education that would kind of be right out, front and center. If you have messed up teeth or weird hair, like me, I had the same hairline that I have now. I was pretty much born with this hairline, so that didn't do me any favors. I was only born with one set of teeth, so I had tooth problems for a large part of my life, to do with that. And then also, I don't know, for maybe the autism, I always had sort of a very just my facial expression, that's kind of you look at these old pictures of me from 2014 that went, the first meme pictures, I just look like I have the dark circles under my eyes. I'm looking all crazy or whatever. People look like, oh, this picture looks like you're going to kill yourself or whatever. I always had very just non-expressive eyes from a young age. It was always just very dead eyes. So that wasn't a very welcoming, my whole appearance, outside of my mental difficulties, whatever those might have been, it was just off-putting. And I think even somebody like me, I could understand, I wasn't the only one that was a weird-looking fucking kid. You have if you're a weird-ass looking kid, you're just probably not gonna be somebody that people are going to gravitate towards, and that's just human nature. So I think once again, you can't blame all this stuff. You can't blame being all this stuff when you're a child. You can't be my age and be like, well, it's because when I was a kid this happened, da da da. But to a degree, when you get older, there's more that you can control. But if there's certain parts of it that are outside of your control, like if it might be height, or you might have polio, or you might have some kind of bad facial bone recession or cross eyes or whatever the case might be, it's still going to be, to some degree, there's going to be an off-putting piece of you that could then be the factor that would keep someone, even if you have a great personality and a whole lot of things to offer, people might just naturally kind of look at you, see that you might not be all there, and then kind of not want to gravitate towards you due to that. So
yeah, well, you say that, but you say that your peers when you were younger rejected you and stuff, but then you have all these people online that just follow pretty much your every move. You have a Wikipedia page that describes literally everything about you. So those people see you, the good parts of you, and I guess they see the good parts of other people as well. But I guess that's kind of interesting how
yeah,
some
I do
people
think
just
that
see you for your bad parts and shit.
Yeah, I think that live streaming definitely gives you a particularly, unique opportunity in that regard. And not even for everybody, but just for somebody like me who got some initial recognition that was pretty purely negative, and then I was able to sort of, through my having access and ability to a certain platform, to go on and just kind of start talking to people and kind of let people know what's going on with me, and just kind of let them know that I'm just pretty much a normal dude, So I've had people over the years who have told me, they're like, oh, I saw you on the news or whatever it was, and I came to gawk at you. I came to I came in to talk some crap, but then I kind of ended up hanging out, and I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty chill. So that's something that you're not really afforded that sort of privilege, in the immediate situations. And so it really breaks it down to the interpersonal relationships, especially because, you don't have, it's all, what do they say? Statistically, a woman will know within the first 3 minutes of speaking to you whether she would end up marrying you or not, something like that. based on, what you present physically, what you present with your body language and your confidence, stuff like that. All that stuff comes together, but it's just that if you're looking crazy, you don't get the floor, so to speak. You don't get to take the stage.
It's not 3 minutes, it's 0.5 seconds.
Right, it's eye contact made. This guy's looking crazy. All right, back looking to the other side here.
That's why you go for blind women. So, speaking of this,
so true.
Thoughts on women in general. Do you dislike them? Do you
dislike them?
Like, you have a few songs about committing atrocities to women, right?
I mean, I'm not sure if I think I might. I don't know if I've ever spoken on that specifically. I think I've said maybe atrocities on whores.
Oh, whores,
because
that.
Bad.
Oh, putting words in his mouth.
Oh, yeah, my bad. So, normal women are fine, right?
Well, what I think is, I really don't like to be a woman apologist. I try not to be for the most part, because everybody is. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's always got something to say, and when I have been, tough on women constructively. I did a podcast a couple months ago about it. We did a movie review. I was on this one I got invited onto, and there was a guy who's this European guy, and he was kind of getting on my case. He says, "Oh, you're an angry misogynist." I said, "No. I'm a constructive criticism giver to women. I just tell them they shouldn't be whores. It's not. Listen, I mean, there's all kinds of." It's probably great for like a couple years to be a whore and get all kinds of money and attention or whatever like that, but not even to say just the baggage of it that will follow you as a young woman, but also the fact that you're going to be like some of these e-girls out here that are in their 30s now. They've been doing this for 10 years and their brain got burned out on this. Like they got used to 100,000 guys, saying, "Oh, I love you. Oh my goodness, you're the best." And their brain got wired to like think that was normal. And then all of a sudden, like the attention goes away. That's like some of these girls out here, like in their 30s, and all of a sudden, like they're like putting their nude photos out for the first time. They're out here. They can't find a guy that they're comfortable with because like they're just it's like driving 100 miles an hour every day of your life, and now you're gonna switch to the horse and buggy. You know what I mean? It's like the rush is not the same for them. They want to like recapture this rush that goes with that. And so they end up like going down a bad path in life that doesn't lead them somewhere good or enjoyable. And that's just one, case of many cases that I've had. But, at the same time, I have had a lot of personal issues with women over my lifetime, but that's just because of the fact that, I can't recall maybe more than a couple times ever that I was just like out of my way to like, really like spit on them or whatever. Not literally, but just to really like, piss on them figuratively. Most of the circumstances that I've had in my life was that, they sort of saw me as a target for, mockery or whatever the case might be, or disrespect due to the fact they saw me as being, not having a social life or whatever, so they seen that nobody's gonna stick up for me, right? They could talk some shit and nobody's gonna tell them different. They kind of scope me out as like, well, nobody likes this guy, so I can treat him like shit. Nobody's gonna care. And so a lot of that happened throughout my life, even in college and beyond, and pretty much any time that I was trying to date or anything like that. I one of the funniest things that, and I think this is everybody's kind of on the same page with this now, but people used to say like, "Oh, the worst a woman could say is no." And I had women throw drinks, bottles, tell guys to beat me up, all different types of stuff just for literally like saying hello, and that was it. You know what I mean? So I had a lot of those experiences, and especially once again, I didn't have any friends or anything like that. So I'm going out to the bar. I'm maybe trying to buy a drink for a girl. She's throwing it in my face, telling me to kill myself or whatever. Then I'm going back home, with a stained shirt. Nobody to talk to, nothing going on. So all I'm sitting there is just laying in bed and thinking about this. And I'm getting ups. I'm very upset about the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's you could try and play it off, you could try to walk it off, and I did, but still, like to keep it real. Now I'm kind of like low key, or maybe if I'm by myself, maybe a little more than low key, just like frustrated and pissed off, and like, yo, what the fuck? This is stupid. I hate this shit. Or I'm so angry. Why the fuck? Why this is so? A whole lot of that, talking in circles, and once again, to be in my own head, to be talking in circles. I don't have anybody to talk to. I work overnight, so I don't even see hardly many people at all either type of way. It's very easy for me to kind of sit there and stew in it, and then just it can compound it to where I just get more frustrated and more upset as time goes on. But that's it is what it is. I mean, I've when I made the Black Pill video, I kind of had to come to terms with it that I'm up here. I'm only 6 feet tall, not 6'5". I wasn't even like fat then, like I'm fat now, but like at that time, I was maybe like just, kind of pudgy, but still, relatively normal. But they said, oh, that's not good enough. You got to be more shredded. I working at a goddamn gas station, which was one of the best jobs for my area. I had my own place and my own car, and I had money put aside each month. I could do what I wanted to. Well, but that's not good enough. You need to be on Wall Street or minimum or nothing else, shit like that. So, but then to kind of come to terms with that, the sort of frustration that I had about my previous situations, it was able to sort of melt away a little bit, because it was like I finally felt that I had some kind of understanding. I didn't have to get a drink thrown in my face just for saying hi and then go back home and I'm walking in circles in my room and just, bubbling over like, what the fuck is this? Now, okay, it's because I didn't have the right clothes on. I didn't have the right haircut. I didn't have this. So now I know. And so I just have to deal with that shit. So, yeah.
For the feds listening, he vents out his frustration with music and streams. He doesn't plan on doing anything else.
What do you mean he doesn't plan on doing anything else?
Well, nothing.
I don't plan on writing any strongly worded letters. I just handle myself creatively.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, no further action will be taken. I feel like people should just like come to realize that the girls who fucking throw drinks at your face just like, aren't worth fucking talking to or associating with in any way. Or just like the people who do that sort of shit. Like if you just approach a person and say hi, they should have the decency to at least not throw a drink at you. Like at least not that. And if they do, then just like fucking don't ever go back to that place or something.
Well,
or just
where
like,
do you go then?
You're very right. I do agree, and we had a conversation to this effect on my stream the other night, because it's been something that's I've been out of that stuff for a minute. I've really just been keeping to myself, but I'm getting older, and the conversations come up more and more. Every time it's somebody's birthday, or it's Easter, or it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it is, I'm getting more pressure on me about like, well, everybody else is getting married and having children, you're not. What's the deal? And so like I'm trying to. Wait, how
old are you, by the way?
I'm gonna be 30 this year, but I'm 29 right now.
I mean, a lot of people don't have kids at 30.
I mean, that's true. So this is the thing of it too, is that I'm just in a particular situation where a lot of people around me kind of are I'm more of like the average situation of a person these days in the modern day, and a lot of people around me are kind of just doing a little above average in certain aspects to do with that sort of thing. So it's kind of like, but it is what it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like I can sit there and be frustrated about it. But yeah, you're very right. Like I still know, at least several of the women who, rejected me years prior, and nowadays, they're really burned out. They, have like 3 college degrees and no job and all this other stuff. They tattoos and they fucked 1,000 different guys and all this different stuff. So it's like I would never have wanted to even involve myself. If I had involved myself, it would have been a train wreck. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't have been any good anyway. So it's sort of just a general maybe frustration at just how everything is, and it's not just like a one particular thing, but I don't know. It's just
I think
it is what it is. Yeah.
I think the worst part about these e-girls is how they have a lot of female fans that get influenced to act this way, and it just creates a cycle where like some person like Belle Delphine, she has a lot of female fans, and then a lot of young girls look up to her and then end up doing the same shit, leading them down this really dark path.
I ain't never seen a young girl look up to
Well, okay,
Belle
not like
Delphine.
these TikTok stars that like go around.
TikTok,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah. Unless you have people like Eggy who preaches against whores. Like, don't be whores if you're listening to this, and preach that message.
It's the slogan
Well,
of the
I
Shout it
think
show.
from
that,
the rooftops if you have to.
Yeah, it's sort of like I feel that there's a disconnect because like I said, I've had many women that I've known who they like it's just because even before OnlyFans, this goes back to years ago because I was on 4chan for so many years and I knew so many 4chan girls or whatever that would just like they all thought that the magic ticket was just going to be to go like sell some nudes or whatever, and it never was. It never was because they just some of these girls like Belle Delphine, they got this big they have so much more going on than just taking their clothes off. You know what I mean? Like there's like a whole master plan.
Yeah, the whole brand.
Belle Delphine, as I recall, she left home at like 18 or something like that and moved into an apartment with like 3 different guys, and like they all like orchestrated her rise, like but with their like basically putting the stuff together, the plan together. It's like this doesn't work out for these women like that. It's just and I try and tell them, but I'm just one guy, and I'm automatically pretty much written off right off the rip. So it's like, well, fuck, I'm not. I've been watching. There's this guy Kevin Samuels that somebody introduced me to his YouTube channel a few weeks ago. He's the right kind of guy. He's like super wears the nicest clothes, and he does like he's like super like swagged out to the max. And people take him a lot more seriously than they take me when we kind of say some similar things. And I'm not bitter about that. I'm happy that there's some dude out there who's talking that talk and he's got that swag out there that people can't just, tell him that he's, a fucking basement dweller or whatever, But, I mean, women got to come to... that's the thing. It's a big part of it, too. They won't be realistic about anything. They won't be realistic about the fact that only like 3% or 4% of women who engage in selling nudes are making more than somebody that works at McDonald's or whatever.
That's true.
They're not being realistic that only like a few percent of men in America make above a certain amount of money. Only a few percent of men in America have a certain social status. They just think just for whatever arbitrary reason, like, oh, I have nice hair, so now my husband is going to make $10 million a year because my hair is nicer than these girls who I work with at the fucking flower shop or something. It's like, you're ridiculous, you got to be realistic, you know what I mean? Like, as a guy, I felt like...
Okay.
People say, oh, well, these guys, they can't get any pussy because they only, they can't get any girls because they just want the best. They're trying to go way out of their league, And I'm sure there's definitely some guys out there that do sit there and watch fucking Pokimane on Twitch or whatever and, send her $500 and think that they're now going to meet, romance whirlwind or whatever. But most of the dudes that I've known, they're just like, they've been willing to settle more often than women are willing to settle. So I feel like that kind of leads to a disconnect there as well.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that there are less women in the world than men. So, sorry, I meant more. It doesn't help that there are more women.
How so?
You have, I don't know. Well, like, it's probably not enough to tell, but like that means, multiple men are fighting over the same
No, there are more
number
women
of women,
than
or
men.
a lesser
So that means
number of women.
there would be multiple. There are more options.
Oh, fuck, then
Yeah.
never mind. Then it should be the opposite. Why aren't women fighting over men? That makes no
Biology.
sense.
Oh, well, they are. They're fighting over the 3% of guys that make $10 million a year. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. Harry Styles. We're fighting over him. I feel like I've brought up Harry Styles in every single episode. I don't know. There might be something wrong with me. Yeah, okay. So if you're a woman and watching this, just make money the old-fashioned way. It's like not hard. You're not gonna make it on OnlyFans, unless you get lucky. But like, don't take your chance. Just like fucking go to school. I don't know.
You're gonna make more money probably doing Uber Eats than you will on OnlyFans, and then you don't have to have some guy, some weird mofo that's gonna like save your nude photos for 20 years down the line and just like build a shrine to you or some shit. I'm telling you, bro, like, it's crazy. Over the years on 4chan, like, I've seen dudes who like even like in 2020, they're like, oh, I remember on 2007 on B there was this big tits girl with cat ears. Oh yeah, man, I've moved those pictures between 8 different hard drives over the last 10 years, and I hope she's old and nobody loves her now, so that if I ever find her, then she'll fall in love with me, we can get married, because I remember her big tits cat
Oh
girl
my God.
post in 2007.
What is this?
Yeah, it's some crazy shit,
Nah,
it's
I've
not for
never seen
everybody.
that shit, yeah.
I mean, hey, no matter
What would
how
you? Yeah.
bad you are, there's always someone who's far off worse.
What?
That's
Okay.
true.
Going back to your story before. What would you say to a person who was in a similar rut as you were, after that one like bar thing, or maybe when you were working at the gas station? I don't know. Yeah. What would you say to like a young man who was in a similar situation as you were? Like in terms of advice.
Or a young woman.
No.
Well, I'll think about the women thing, but I'll go for the about the young man first, because once again, when I was that age, you didn't have the YouTube tutorials, you didn't have all this stuff out there, you didn't have as much information out there as you do now, I think. So there was a lot more that was being left in the dark. So I think basically, if you're a young guy and you're just getting rejected a lot, if I was gonna do it all over again, I would probably, you got to realize that, because you could have that sort of mental block where you're really hung up on being lonely. You just have to realize that when you do have a woman in your life, it's work. It's not, there's no, once you're out of high school, maybe if you're like 16 or whatever, and you have like the go to prom, go to the malt shop or whatever these young kids do nowadays. Listen, once you're out of school, that doesn't exist anymore. There's no more of that, because you got to work. People have jobs. A marriage or a girlfriend or whatever, it's all a job, all the same. So it's like you might have the hot sex and the hots, I'm stunting on everybody with my babe, yada yada, but you're gonna have to listen to all her problems. She wants some new clothes, you might have to take her shopping or whatever, or you're gonna have to, otherwise if you're not buying the clothes either way, then you have to like compliments, and you got to know when she gets her hair done and all this different stuff, otherwise she's gonna leave you. It's really a lot of stuff that is a lot of work. So what I would say, if you're like a younger dude, 18 to 23 or something like that, and you're really hung up on that stuff, and you're like I couldn't get, I was having trouble even making friends because people felt that it was a hang up to invite me to parties. Like, oh, why don't you get any pussy? You're kind of a weirdo back then, even, like it was, so that would give me like an additional anxiety that would make me feel like I wasn't welcome at these parties and things like that. The thing is that all these people at these parties, no offense to them, but most of them probably just turned out to be regular schmoes, after some years went by. So fuck all that. What you got to do is just figure out how you're gonna kick ass at life. You should be sitting around and kind of thinking to yourself, boom, because time moves faster than you might think. I remember being 18 years old and people were saying, well, if you work out this much, you'll be super shredded by the time you're like 24. And I'm just sitting there at 18. I'm like, 24, holy shit, that's a million miles away. That's like a lifetime away, but it really isn't. So I would sit down and really start, from as young as you could, try to be serious about it. Just sitting down and think like, all right, what do I want to do? What are some skills that I want to try and like sharpen that are going to make me, well, everybody else is going to be like a schmuck that's riding around and getting caught up in the main flow of it. They're telling you go to college, get $1 million in debt, and then, whatever, they get led around. You don't want to get led around. Figure out how you're going to keep from getting led around. Figure out what kind of thing you're going to sharpen up, and put some time in that every day. You could be going to McDonald's, riding your bike to McDonald's, flip your burger, ride your bike back home. Don't sit down and jack off or whatever. Sit down and read some of a book, or sit down, or if you want to do music like I was, you could sit down and watch a couple tutorials and kind of mess around with it a little bit. Maybe you want to do fashion. Sit down and think, boom, what's popping in fashion right now? Maybe I could put some clothing together, teach yourself how to sew. Whatever. There's different stuff out there that a lot of people don't know how to do. Maybe you want to be a chef. Maybe you want to be a grill master for a YouTube channel. Save up, buy a pan. Cook up a couple, recipes here and there, and kind of like figure some shit out. That's what you want to do, in my personal opinion. It's going to put you far ahead that, above a lot of people.
I think that people who are in that sort of position, who are concerned about like what other people think about them, I think if they just realize that, like, if they work on themselves first, that, you know, the women and like the friends, they'll come later. But you know, it all starts with you and what you want to do in your life.
Yeah, and I will say this too. Once again, speaking from experience, okay? Even if you're having a fun ass party, listen, I used to go to a lot of parties, even if I wasn't very liked or people like would not want to be around me or whatever the fuck it was. I'd still get into parties from time to time. And that was a lot of fun, I tell you. And you know what? It doesn't mean anything anymore. You know what? And I even slept with a handful of different not very attractive women. And you know what? I thought that was the hottest shit. I'm walking around, you know, like the biggest player, the biggest gangster. Guess what? That didn't mean shit. It was nothing. That does not add anything in my life at this point in time in my life. If I had put that time into some other shit, okay, yeah, it was just a couple weekends here or there. It wasn't like it was, you know. But at the same time, I was very preoccupied with trying to be involved with a woman. You know, like women was on the mind more than anything else. I was preoccupied by that because I felt like it was something that was the missing piece of the puzzle for me. But you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't that when I did date eventually, it did sort of help me grow as a person. It did help me realize that there was a lot more to this than just the flowers and the roses and the sunshine and the rainbows and the skipping through the fields or whatever, the malt shop and the little dance or whatever. There was a lot more to it than that. And so that did help me realize a lot in that regard, and for that I am thankful. But yeah, at the end of the day, when the relationship was all said and done, you know, I was pretty much right where I was with all of my professional aspects of life, whatever I had, you know, whatever I was looking at for a future. I was pretty much in the same spot that I was in my early 20s. You know, I was in my mid 20s at that point. You know, so. But you live and learn. I think that's pretty much what I recommend. If you're a young woman, you know, I would just say don't be a whore. You know, take care of yourself a little bit. You know how to do some nice household things. Know how to understand that if you're looking for a good guy, you know, social circle is a nice thing to have, because if you're just out there and you're like putting yourself out there online or whatever the case might be, there's a lot of guys that can just fraud shit and pull up on you just to clap those cheeks and then dip off, you know, because they're really just trying to get some. So like if you have somebody that your family knows is a young guy that's got something going on for himself, or however it might be, somebody that's got a connection that has some, you know, reliability to the story that this dude is going to have something going on for himself, even if he's not super Giga Chad, if he has a life that a solid, stable future ahead of him,
maybe if he runs
to where
a podcast,
you can work together. Yeah. Like a podcaster. Yes, exactly. So that's some tips for the ladies out there. I don't really know. I mean, I could get into more of that, but I don't really care to.
Earlier you said that when you were 18, you were told to work out, and you were told that you would get ripped at 24. If you could go back, would you work out at 18 and get ripped at 24?
Well, I did maintain my fitness up until the point that I moved out, so I did maintain my fitness for a couple years. I don't have a lot of those old pictures hanging around because I didn't have like a camera phone and stuff back then, really. But, you know, I definitely was, you know, I actually had like visible abs and all that stuff back then. But when I first moved out, you know, I was working and I moved out and I was going to college. So it was just like I felt like I didn't have any time to really hit the gym the same type of way at that time, unfortunately. So that was probably the biggest thing that kept me. You know, I still maintained. I was still pretty lean for like, you know, a handful of months after the fact, just off diet. But I really wasn't getting that same exercise, which kind of then caused me to regress a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. It's people have. I mean, I guess if I could go back, yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to say because, you know, I'm bad about exercise now, you know, when I know better. So I feel like I probably would have ended up just still like, you know, getting into something else and kind of not sticking to it as well. But I mean, if I could go back and really like slap myself around, I suppose I would have maybe tried to stick to it a little bit more heavily, because the thing about it is people will tell me and they'll say, oh, you know, I work out and I still get no pussy. I'm like, well, listen, I'm going to tell you, as somebody who was in decent shape and now I'm kind of fat and not in good shape, you know, just to be in shape is way better. Like, you just feel better. Like there is no downside to being in shape. If you're trying to be like a bodybuilder and maintain like 8% body fat at all times just for the premise of getting pussy, okay, then you might need to reconsider a couple things. I'm still not going to say that you shouldn't be shredded, but if you're like basically holding your breath, so to speak, and really hitting it just for this goal, which is something that is not a tangible goal, you can't say for sure that this lift is going to be, the thing that is going to bring that together. So there's nothing wrong with fitness, and I encourage fitness because you're just going to feel a lot better to maintain it. But if it's all about a bitch, you want something. You're gonna want something that's like you can really get hold of. Something you can really keep yourself motivated with beyond that.
Those are the people who feel that working out compensates for like their lack of I don't know, like personality and shit. Like if they have a short dick, like people with short dicks usually are like ripped. So pro tip for women, because like that's why they work out, because they, I don't know, they feel insecure about themselves in some way.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Pro tip for women:
No,
if they
but
work
that's
out,
true.
don't go for them. Go for people like us.
That's probably my problem, is that I'm just way too. I just never give a shit. So like I just allow myself to look like I just crawled out of a trash bag all the time, But because I'm just so swagged out either way. But that's no good though. I still got some weight to lose. But I mean, yeah. Still, fitness is good. Fitness is good. You want to be able to. You don't want to be having your legs break out from under you at 45 years old like Boogie.
Okay, hold on though. Crazy. Tell me the reason that most funny people are more fat than the average human.
Because funny people tend to have more emotional distress. More emotional distress tends to have you fatter because you're less motivated to work on yourself.
I feel like it's because funny people just feel more confident in themselves, and that's why they're funny, and like they aren't insecure, so they don't work out.
I don't know. I think a lot of comedians have some sort of mental trauma or bad history. At least the ones that I've seen. Like, I have a bad life.
The good ones?
The good ones, yeah. I have a bad life,
Yeah,
but I like to
Kevin Hart,
make other people...
not a good example.
Well, Kevin Hart isn't really funny, so... No offense, Kevin Hart, if you're watching.
Controversial.
He's got the trauma of living in a racist society. So
yeah, that's true.
That's his trauma.
No, he has the trauma of missing out on being the host of the Oscars.
This is why women aren't good comedians, because all they have to talk about is just like having sex with some random guy, and then they woke up and they smelled bad. Whereas guys are like, we can, we do cocaine and then we like scream and we do backflips and we like talk about shit that we really hate and everybody else hates too, and so then we all laugh about it.
Yeah. So
are you circumcised,
guys? Oh my God, we forgot to ask that.
Yeah, I just thought of it.
Well,
worry,
I have
it's
made.
We ask all our guests.
Well, I have made a point ever since I started attracting a lot of gay viewers to stop talking about my penis. I will just say that it's a very large and good penis that has satisfied many women.
See, that's why he doesn't work out.
Whoa.
Because he has a big dick. See what I'm saying?
I used to actually have my penis measurements in my stream description at one point. I think it's probably why my streams ended up being filled with gay men. I don't know. I can't say that for sure, but it's something that I've stopped talking about. I don't know. And plus, it's I haven't even been concerned with that anyway. But I will tell you, let me tell you guys. I'm gonna break a story for you guys. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna break a story for you guys. I never sat down and really said this before, but actually, low key, I used to be like a pretty serious man whore, to be honest.
Well, yeah, you said you fucked a lot of ugly girls.
I mean, like probably, gosh, if I had to put a number to it.
Oh no.
I probably, sent a lot of nude selfies to like at least 100 different women over like a period of like 3 or 4 years. Tinder chicks, 4chan girls, all types of shit. It's a true story. It's pretty crazy that nothing's ever leaked, but yeah, I've never mentioned that. I never admitted that before to anybody that I can recall. But yeah, it was a strange period of my life. I thought, and no bullshit though. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the, it wasn't you hear all the time, like, these girls, they get pictures from guys and they're like, oh my gosh, why do you think I'd want to see that? Low key, listen, sometimes bitches love to see that, okay? I'm not even going to fuck with you. Sometimes bitches love that shit. Should you do it? No, that's like the male version of being a whore. It's not good. I disavow what I did back then. I'm lucky that I haven't had to face any repercussions of that, but it's something that I also haven't done for a few years now, which also kind of coincided with me not talking about that kind of stuff as much. Just cleaning up my conduct and cleaning up my what I speak on a little more in general, not being quite so crude. Sometimes I still am, but I just kind of felt that I outgrew talking about mo dick, shit like that.
There's an alternate reality where all the gay men on your streams would be jacking off to your nudes right now.
Oh God.
Oh, yeah, think about that one.
See, this is why I don't know how some of these chicks. Remember, one of these girls who I tried to talk out of camming, who ended up blocking me. I'm like, just imagine, like, you're gonna go live and it's just like 100 clones of me, like, all jacking off. Like, how do you feel about that? And then she blocked me shortly after that. But I'm like,
Oh
well,
my God.
I'm not like I want to give you a fuck.
Persuaders to stop, I guess.
Oh yeah,
but see, and if any woman ever hears this, okay, if any of you other girls out there hear this, you're sitting there and you're acting all like sweet. No, there's some guy who's even fatter than me, who's even more balding than I am, who's even more sweaty and disgusting than I am, that's sitting there hunched over his laptop or whatever. So just think about that before you be a whore.
Yeah, or just think about how, like, even if you're just being a whore for, like, guys you find attractive, still I wouldn't recommend it. Would you say that the woman that you criticize for being a whore, you can apply that same criticism to yourself a few years ago? So would you say that you're any better than them?
Well, I mean, to be honest, we probably were in that regard. Because the thing of it for me was that, like, I still would have... because I only ever dated one girl, so it's like I really was just trying to, I was trying to put something interesting. I don't know, like they didn't want to hear, oh, you don't have enough money, so I'm not interested. Oh, your face is ugly, so I'm not interested. But I had something that would, like, interest them. So I guess it's the same kind of thing, if like a woman with no personality or no, like no catch, if she has like big fat tits or something like that, and she pulls them out, okay, then you're probably gonna be more interested. So, but I guess it also would kind of lead into the fact that, all these women, I was trying to approach them in a way that it would be something long-term. But when I think about it, because I had a girl call me out on this a couple years ago, and we actually talked about it. When I think about it, I think every single time that I ever was involved with a woman, it usually started off with me sending them an explicit photograph. Then, like, that was, like, what gave them the green lights to, like, say, oh, yeah, do come over. That's what they tell me, oh, come over.
Okay, maybe that's why
so
you're
then I'd
having
come over.
problems with a woman.
So then, but I thought, then that would kind of be like, I guess I thought then that we could, like, turn that into a relationship or something like that, but
No,
yeah, that didn't really turn out that way. So I mean, in that regard,
really pan out.
It's kind of funny because I can remember being like back in like 2017 or 2018 or something like that. I made a tweet and I'm like, damn, like I'm getting pumped and dumped and I'm a guy, I'm getting pumped and dumped by girls. Like, what the fuck is that? I never even heard of that before, I'm like, shit. So I guess, so I have some perspective on what a woman could go through of, trying to use their body for something, you'd think, talking about me, you think that's the craziest shit you ever heard in your life, but
yeah, that's exactly what
yeah, I mean,
whores go through, I think.
That's why being a whole versus, like just treating yourself with respect and dignity and, and trying to find somebody who also is a respectable person is the better way to go. But even looking at it now, I haven't really met a whole lot of decent women in my life, or not even that like in my circles or whatever, but just like to know of them existing at all hasn't been very often. So, excuse me. So I feel like basically, I mean, I think I was kind of just playing the game, They were probably whores. I was kind of, doing my thing. We were kind of just, some trash in the same trash pile, so to speak. So I don't feel like I necessarily lost any opportunity doing that kind of thing. But, I was really out there fucking around doing shit that wasn't really going anywhere good.
Yeah, if you're acting like a whore, you shouldn't expect something other than a whore. But now that you're not, I wish you good luck with finding the right one.
Wise
Thank you.
words.
So, any woman watching, if you've gotten Eggy's explicit photos, make sure to comment if he's circumcised or not.
Well, this show is actually pretty famous for people just confessing their worst crimes or whatever,
Oh yeah,
like the worst things they've done.
our last episode, someone confessed that their dad's stepdad's friend had sex with a corpse. So you can
Holy
pretty
shit.
much
That's a
say
pretty
anything.
loose connection right there.
Yeah, but you could say anything. Like we wouldn't tell anyone.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no, but technically it was their dad's stepdad because, or yeah, their friend's dad's stepdad because, like, you know, he wouldn't say that he had sex with a corpse, right?
Yeah. Have you
yeah,
had
my
sex with
my
corpses?
friend, wink, 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 was digging up corpses. Wink, wink, wink. My friend. Yeah, not me, my friend. No.
Yeah, asking for a friend.
Oh shit, I never did anything that crazy. Yeah, I mean,
I might
when I
have
was,
set the
when I
bar
was a
too
kid,
high.
I used to do some little smash and grabs and stuff like that. You know, breaking and enters, stuff like that. But I've never done anything like way whacked out.
Oh yeah, we have a thing where we out of nowhere just kind of tell the guest that we're playing a song, and
Yeah, well, we are going to play a song.
yeah. So
That's true.
Okay.
I'll play the guitar. He's gonna my co-host Honky is gonna play the violin, and you're gonna sing "Take on Me."
We make
Okay.
all of our guests sing.
Yeah. Well, no, if you play
Well,
play
actually,
guitar
no,
or
we make them
something.
play an instrument or
Yeah.
something. I actually don't have the music. One sec.
Okay.
Shit. Wait, what key is this in? G major? Do you know anything about music theory? Eggy?
I studied it because when I first graduated high school, I didn't want to go to college, so I started getting into music production and like making beats and shit. And I read some music theory, like a straight up like textbook, like bought it off eBay and shit, and like read it in my bedroom and all that stuff. And I'm like, I kind of was sitting there. Listen, I dropped out of school. I failed school, so I'm sitting like drooling all over the fucking pages and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just gonna like do something, and I want it to sound good. And so like that's how I learned music
okay.
theory, was literally just like play notes and like
Experiment.
make them sound good. Yeah.
It's only $5, right?
Are you gonna pay for? It's not even gonna sound good. We're all gonna be. I mean.
Okay, I'm reading it off of the preview page then. We're gonna stop like before the chorus.
No. We gotta make it sound good. Just find like a. Play it by ear. Play it by ear.
All right, I think I know. So all right, we're just gonna go in. All right, we're just gonna do it. All right, hit that guitar, play that guitar, you funky white boy. We're talking away. I don't know what I'm to say. I'll say it anyway. Today's another day to find you dying away. I'll be coming for your love, okay? Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone in a day or two. So needless to say, I'm odds and ends, and I'll be stumbling away. Slowly learning that life is okay. Say after me, oh, it's better to be safe than sorry. Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone in a day or
Beautiful.
That was
I
angelic.
probably I couldn't hear myself sing too well, so I'm pretty sure like half my notes were totally flat. But it's like I have my headphones cranked up a lot louder than usual. But hey, you know what? Just a little spice, a little auto tune will perk it right up.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
I'll add
reading off of
auto-tune.
literally-
Sure.
The only notes I had were the ones from like literally the first verse. And they weren't even right.
Well, hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with, that's how they create music. Who's the first guy that made music? He just started like punching on rocks.
I mean,
And
I
all
think
of
we're a
sudden,
bit
boom,
better than punching on
Give it a
rocks,
million
but yeah.
years, music.
Thanks for coming on, Mr. Reynolds.
Twas
Yeah.
my pleasure.
You were a great guest. You did like 80% of the talking, which made it much easier for us to do our
It was
jobs.
honestly like 90. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Sometimes people get pissy at me. They're like, "Bro, you need to let it breathe." No, I'm not. I will not. You have to punch me in the face. You got to reach out and slap me to make me stop.
Well,
Yeah,
That's just
no,
me.
it's
It is a
much better for
podcast.
us. Okay, any last words?
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for having me on. Thank you for reaching out. Always appreciated. And yeah, keep on rocking, brothers.
Thank you.
you,
So for when we get like super famous and stuff, do you want to plug anything?
You could call me MTV because I'm unplugged right now. I'm plugged out. I'm tapped out right now. I'm out here in outer space. I'm going by the fake moon landing. I'm just floating around right now. So, listen, if anybody wants to tap in with me, whenever once this gets 1 million views, once you guys hit 1 million subscribers, you just have to find me. You'll have to find me. I'm gonna be wandering in the desert in rags. You'll just have to come see me.
Well, technically your
Yeah.
name's gonna be in the title, but they'll find you.
If
be hard.
they'll find one of his only YouTube channel. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Nice.
You guys should say bye too.
Oh
like,
fuck!
as the
Bye.
final.
What the hell? Bye.
Goodbye.